A very good morning, guys, and welcome back to another daily market outlook here on the channel. It's Fabio, and a very good morning to you. Hope you are doing well. An interesting week in the markets overall. A lot of choppy price action, in my personal opinion. Not entirely what I was looking to see play out on EURUSD, but it's fine. These things happen. Myself, no trade taken this week. So simply just waiting for market conditions to improve a bit until I get into new positions. Now, as you know, on the weekly time frame, I have been looking still for further upside on EURUSD, but obviously we are currently pushing in towards the downside. Now, the weekly fractal structure is still bullish, so it doesn't necessarily invalidate the overall weekly bias, but on the lower time frame, price action is getting a lot messier. Now, what we see here on the daily time frame is the fact that we have now broken the overall fractal lows. So pretty much underneath all of these lows over here, we have seen EURUSD push in towards the downside. Now, overall here, euro dollar is in an area of consolidation. And again, we can very clearly see the 75% mark acting as an area of resistance. Now, the 25% mark, that is our area of support. And naturally as well, this 50% level is also an area of support and resistance, right? So I'm now looking to see some kind of like slowdown on EURUSD with its overall push down. We saw a lot of momentum in yesterday's candle, a lot of bearish momentum, and I would not again be surprised to see EURUSD slow down a bit now that we have taken out this low over here. So what I'm personally looking at more is what the dollar is doing. EURUSD for myself is not a very interesting pair at the moment. Again, being very honest, we are just simply consolidating. There's a lot of uncertainty about the peace deal between Russia, Ukraine, United States. There is a lot of uncertainty about the biggest economy in Europe, being the economy of Germany. Who is going to be in the parliament? What investments is the German parliament going to be making in the upcoming years? All these things need to become clear before I'm going to be seeing real direction on euro dollar. Now, obviously, you can trade on the lower time frame, but for myself, I am trying to capitalize on those bigger swings overall. What I see still here is that the 4-hour is still bullish from this low in towards this high, and that we are looking to capitalize on kind of like this internal structure that we have over here with the push up, the push down, the push up, the push down, and then we saw kind of like this corrective push up, and then we saw the push down. So if I'm very honest, I was a little bit too fixated on looking for long positions. What we could have seen here was this squeezing ascending price action, which is more often than not a sign that euro dollar or that a Forex pair in general is ready to push down lower. And that is now what has happened. So yeah, I take full responsibility for that on my own part. But luckily, I didn't take any trades on euro dollar. So nothing really bad happened for myself. Now, personally, I'm staying out of EURUSD until further notice, waiting for some more cleaner price action to start forming, because the internal structure here, again, this is the impulse up, this is the push down. You would have wanted to see a clean impulse, kind of like a clean inside trend continuation in towards the upside, which is now not happening. Again, we're kind of like breaking the lows here, Now we have supply pretty much situated over here. So there's a lot of uncertainty about the direction of euro dollar. That's why I am personally staying out. I'm focusing more on what the dollar index is doing, because the dollar index is currently at a very interesting high, which I mentioned on yesterday's live stream. Again, we can very clearly see overextended push in towards the downside. Then we get that descending correction with a one low, a second low, and then a third low. And then after that, we get the overall impulse in towards the highs after seeing this break of structure here, retracement in towards this imbalance. And then from there, the market pushed up higher in towards the beginning of the overall wedge. Now, there are two areas that I'm looking for the dollar index to start pushing down from, and that is currently the high that we are at this point in time. This over here is your bump in the road, which could cause the dollar index to start retracing again after these two very bullish days, or I'm going to be looking for just a little bit of a push up higher in towards that overall daily area of supply, okay? Going in towards the 4-hour time frame, we're obviously still with bullish momentum. This here is now kind of like your key area of demand and also your 4-hour fractal structure. So what I would prefer to see is just a minor pullback and then one more push up, and then we get the 4-hour change of character to continue push the market down. So like a market structure shift there. Does it need to happen that the dollar index goes bearish again? Not necessarily, but what I am looking for is that further downside from either this area of supply or this liquidity high. So let's see if anything like that happens. on the dollar index. For the 4 hour, it will need time to develop. Obviously, we've already now seen a very, very large push in towards the upside. So you don't want to be buying the dollar at the moment. You would need to see a pullback and then a trend shift again to see the next push up if you would want to get into any longs on the dollar index. So I wouldn't be looking for those longs just yet. Wait for a retracement and then get in, or look for those dollar shorts once we're in that daily supply zone, and then get the 4 hour change of character again, because then you can play the overall swing back down again. Because obviously from a weekly perspective, the overall fractal structure is still bearish, as simple as that. Here we had the break in the market structure. This here is your fractal low. This here is your fractal high. So it's not strange that we're seeing that retracement. Based on fractal structure, we can see that we haven't even yet hit the premium versus discount level. We have not yet hit that daily area of supply. So there is still some room for it to push up higher. Yeah, just keep in mind that this bump in the road could cause a reaction. But it doesn't necessarily have to push the market all the way back down, because for now, the overall daily area of demand that is in control is this demand zone over here. So personally, I'll be looking at dollar shorts again once we are inside that daily supply zone and we see the proper price action that we want to see in the form of a market structure shift, or once we break that daily fractal low again, then I'll be happy to get into more shorts again. So those are kind of like the two opportunities that I'm looking for. And then for longs on dollar, you want to wait for this demand zone to get hit preferably, and then look for another long up higher. So that's that. Going into AUDUSD. So AUDUSD itself has obviously pushed down a lot lower. I was looking for a long position again from this daily area of demand, with this being our liquidity low. Markets have been very, very impulsive. Luckily that they have been that impulsive, because on the other side of things, it's also been a good thing because of it being so impulsive, I haven't gotten into any longs at all. So I was interested in longs, but you can see the overall order flow remained bearish in towards the downside. At every single point in time, we had supply in control. Again, if we zoom into the individual candlesticks, you can see yesterday's supply is still drawn in. I'm just going to visualize it for you here. We have supply, we have supply, we have supply. So every single time, the buy before the sell is just remaining in control. This is now the buy before the sell. You can see we just continue pushing down lower and lower. So I didn't get into any longs. On the other side, I also didn't get into any shorts. My strategy didn't provide me with any potential entries. Again, if I would have been a little bit more aggressive, and I'm taking a lesson from this myself for the next time, I consider this a mistake, or not necessarily a mistake, but just a lesson on my end. We broke the fractal structure here, so we've got to push up, push down, push up, and then we've got to push down, breaking the fractal structure. So from that point in time, the daily could, or this is the 2-day, excuse me, on the daily time frame, we saw here the break of structure up, then here the break of structure down. From this point onwards, I could have said, okay, we can get into some short positions back down in towards, for example, where, well, the 50% mark, which we've already hit now. So that could have been done on my end, and then I could have gotten in on the overall 4-hour order flow, to be very, very honest. Again, I was just too conservative. So yeah, I took notes of it, I journaled it, and I understand what I'm going to be doing different next time, because this order flow was just so clean and we should have been in it. So yeah, again, sorry from my side. But now that we have retraced all the way back down into those discount prices, longs again are getting more and more interesting. Weekly fractal structure is obviously still bullish. So I am interested in getting into long positions, maybe on the 1st of March, on the 2nd of March. So for example, let March form a bottom wick and then see some more upside once again. From this fractal structure perspective here on the weekly time frame, you can now see that we have pretty much retraced exactly in towards that 618. So I am interested in looking for those potential buys again on AUDUSD. And what I'll be waiting for is pretty much the 4-hour fractal structure to start shifting bullish once again. So what we have here is this area of demand on the 4-hour time frame, which is clean, and this 4-hour demand zone could cause us now to start pushing up higher. We have equal lows here as well. So now what I want to see is kind of like a 4-hour structural shift, and then get into potential longs. Otherwise, just follow the overall 4-hour fractal structure down lower. So potential longs could come into play soon, but we need to see that 4-hour fractal structure shift, because I do think a pullback is due very, very soon after a drop of, what is it, around 3% here on AUDUSD. Now, moving into GBPUSD, currently the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is in the United States. He's meeting with Donald Trump at the moment. They're talking about a trade deal as opposed to tariffs. So this could push the pound up higher very, very soon. For now, we've seen a daily fractal structure shift, meaning this is now your daily area of supply. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, obviously we had kind of like this overextended move in towards the highs and then this ascending correction here. And now it does make sense to look for some potential downside again. What I'm personally most interested in is looking for longs on GBPUSD once we hit this area of demand over here. And then if we see some structural shift inside of it. So that's the only kind of like long that I'm interested in. We still have equal lows here on the daily time frame, which I would preferably want to see get taken out. So yeah, that's for myself kind of like the game plan on GU. So daily fractal structure is bearish. 4-hour fractal structure is bearish. I know a lot of you are probably looking at this supply zone over here. This supply zone could push the market down lower again one more time, take out all of those lows. So that's kind of like the setup that I'm waiting for at the moment before, for example, looking for further upside once again. So keeping an eye on that if we see anything interesting for those shorts. Yeah, in my personal opinion, because we have the daily fractal structure that is bearish, we have the daily supply that is formed, we have the 4-hour time frame which is fractal bearish, and we also have the 4-hour supply that is formed. So waiting for that to occur. For now, if you're looking for a position, there's not much to take. We can see a lot of descending highs that we have over here. So I do think that we will see a push up higher very, very soon. So do keep an eye on those potential longs, but there's no like real clear area of demand here to our left. So that's why I'm not personally getting in on this at all. So I'll just wait for the short only. Then we have NZDUSD. So NZDUSD pushed down a lot lower as well. It's very similar to AUDUSD, where we saw an aggressive sell-off in the most recent days. We have on the weekly time frame this area of supply still, and we still have this fractal low and this fractal high on the weekly time frame. So we're inside weekly demand. We've retraced all the way back down in towards where? Well, in towards lower than the 618 fib. So obviously we're at a good region to look for potential buys on NZDUSD. Go into the daily time frame, and we're pretty much at all of the lows, and we're taking out those lows. So again, what you could look for is a retracement sometime soon on the daily time frame. This is now pretty much your supply zone. So there is still some room to look for those long positions back up into daily supply. But we do not want to be catching a falling knife. We can see NZDUSD has dropped as much as 3%, very similar to AUDUSD. And again, sadly, there was no entry taken for myself. I could have looked for a short position, in all honesty, once we broke this daily fractal structure here and gotten in on a short-term short. And there was an entry over here on the 4-hour fractal structure, with this being your 4-hour supply zone, where you could then enter on top of that. But again, I was not sharp enough to take it this week. And yeah, that's again a lesson that I learned and something that I journaled. So I'm going to understand why I didn't take that. But overall, yeah, I mean, the daily time frame needs to slow down a bit. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, again, you don't want to be catching the falling knife. There is no real clear area of demand there to our left. So I'm personally just looking at, okay, now we've taken up, for example, this substantial swing low. And what you would want to see now is like a 4-hour fractal structure shift to trade some kind of pullback back up higher. So let's see what we get. Let's see if we form some kind of base that could help us sustain the next push up higher. And this will also depend on what the dollar does. So keep an eye on the dollar as well. Now that we're at this swing high over here, is this enough liquidity to cause another push down lower? Or are we just going to see that next leg up and then NZDUSD? If the dollar index does push up higher, NZDUSD will push down lower. Going into gold. So gold itself has been selling off aggressively as well, obviously in combination with the Bitcoin correction, which has the whole market stressing. So a lot of yeah, let's say bearish price action across the board here. Daily fractal high break here, daily fractal low break here, daily fractal low break. So again, we've got a double daily fractal break. This is now your daily imbalance that is in control. If we retrace in towards that daily imbalance, I'll be happy to look for another short. Overall, again, the target still stands from yesterday's market outlook, where we have this as the entire sell before the buy. This is pretty much your area of demand. So looking for at least a retracement back down into around 27.90 before really getting involved with any next positions. So yeah, looking for shorts still on gold back down in towards that overall daily order flow, which is also kind of like your weekly sell before the buy. So yeah, still some shorts on the table there, and I'll be looking to scale into those shorts on the 4-hour order flow as well. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you all a fantastic trading day and a happy weekend, and see you soon.